When I was about 10 or 11, I made up my mind that there could not be a God and stuck to that belief for the next 30 years or so. At school, I had to attend RI lessons but refused to take the exams. I was forced to stand at the front of the morning assembly as I refused to say the Lord's Prayer, etc., mocking the church and all who attended, blaspheming God on many occasions. When the vicar visited, threatened to refuse to let him in if he insisted on talking shop, etc. Then in 1981, the church in Oakington held a flower festival. As I was wandering around admiring the blooms, I discovered that on the final day, the Bishop of Ely was coming to preach at Evensong. For some reason or other, I was curious to see what a bishop looked like, so decided to go along. As many of the congregation knew of my attitude, I sat right at the back because I was afraid they might throw me out. Anyway, I came away not thinking too much of what the bishop had to say. During the following week, I wondered how James the vicar would compare in what he had to say, so decided to go along again, marginally better. However, during the following weeks, I felt urged to keep going, much to the amazement of my wife. Anyway, this went on for several weeks. I never came away feeling that my attitude was being changed, never joined in the prayers, etc. I was beginning to feel that I was not in control of things, and that disturbed me, but couldn't stop going. James the vicar came around one afternoon and commented it was good to see me come to church. I explained I didn't know why I was coming, but something seemed to be forcing me to go. Sounds like God speaking to you, he said, and I reminded him of my previous threats. Okay, he said, but you give me a better explanation. Why not pray about it? No comment. However, I did think about it over the next week. So at the next service, I sat right at the back, and hoping that no one could see me, and feeling very foolish at praying to something or someone that I didn't believe in, knelt and prayed something along the lines of, well, if there is a God up there and you're the one forcing me to come to church, could you please do or say something so I can get my life back? Nothing. Exactly what I expected. However, I did feel the weight had been lifted from my mind. I thought I had done everything that I needed to do and needn't come back the following week. Thank goodness that episode was over. At that time, I used to cycle to work. One morning during the following week, I was cycling along when I was suddenly hit by an incredible feeling of love and peace which came over me. Now, I've never claimed to have heard voices, but I knew at that moment that in my mind I had been spoken to. Yes, I am the God you pray to, and I love you so much that my son died on the cross for you. Ooh, can you believe it? We have a God who had put up with my insults for nearly 30 years, and yet the first thing he said to me was that he loved me. So how do I summarize the past 40 years then? At that moment, a light went on in my heart which has never gone out, the light of Jesus. I started to go to church, I started to read the Bible, and soon realized I could have a personal relationship with the living Christ, who had died for me on that cross. It has not always been a smooth relationship. I've argued with him on occasions, even got angry, and at one very low point in my life, even told him I didn't want to know him anymore. He just let me rant on and then welcomed me back when I was calmed down. I've told this story many times since then, and often the response is, God wouldn't want me as I've done bad things in my life. I'm not worthy of his love. My answer to that would be, listen to what I've just said. Do you think I was worthy of his love? To anyone feeling that way who's listening in today, perhaps God is waiting for you to pray. Amen.